There's a saying often black tax collectors use, and that is karere mangwana kagukurirao, which roughly translates into raise them up so that tomorrow they'll take care of you. Now, all in all, I don't see anything wrong with that statement. As a matter of fact, just out of humanity, definitely you want to make sure that you take care of your parents, your guardians, or whoever took care of you. It's reciprocation. Pretty much nothing wrong with that. But the question is, where do you draw the line? Where do you say this is defining what taking care of means? Where do you draw the line? Is it a house? Is it supporting the whole family? Is it just food, shelter, and clothing? I mean, where's that line? And this is where we're going to find that this is where things get very different and where things get very, very tricky. So when I started getting affected by the black tax, there's several questions that I asked. And these questions were, what do you think about a child that you've raised? They get an education and then they start working. What do you think about their responsibility and whose responsibility is it? Let's say in a family of five, a family of seven, whose responsibility is it to take care of their parents or their guardians or whoever took care of them? And the answer will surprise you. So the first person I asked said, in every family, there's a person that God chooses to uplift everybody else. So in a nutshell, we might look at it and say, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you're the chosen one. So your ego may kick in and say, yeah, okay, I'm the chosen one. So I'm the one who's going to take care of everyone. And you feel good about it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you see, where you get a problem is this idea and mentality may cause the rest of the siblings to then feel like that's our chosen one. We don't have to do anything because God made a decision. So whatever you're going to tell them to do or ask them to do, the default line is you're the chosen one. Therefore, you're supposed to take care of it. In fact, some people may believe that all the gifts that everybody else has have been given to you because you're the chosen one. So when you get to that type of thinking, this now becomes very, very, very complicated and dangerous because the moment you say, enough is enough, I want to take care of my own family, you are going to be met with resentment. You're going to be met with a lot of pushback to a point where those people that think you're the chosen one can actually create resentment against you, team up against you. And before you know it, you are now the enemy because you're not fulfilling that dream that was given, that you are the chosen one. So the expectations of the black tax, you will find them very, very interesting and scary. If you're the one, and from this, I mean, for the sake of this video, we'll just call it the chosen one. If you are the chosen one, you are expected to pay school fees for your younger brother, your younger sister. The parents will step back and leave the responsibility to you. But you see, you have a life too. I have a life too. What do I do? That means that if I am going to be spending, let's say, 50% of my salary to black tax, my children have been robbed that 50% of potential things that they could have achieved in their lives because of just that belief of the chosen one. So as you can see, this thing has has so many implications. Sometimes, for an example, just need to open the window here. It's getting a bit too warm. You see, sometimes you may decide to plan things for your own life. It may be retirement. You want to decide, you know what, I've been in the UK 10 years, 15 years, 25 years, 30 years, But in terms of retirement, yeah, I've changed my mind. Yes, I have some funds put aside. You may have a house on mortgage, but you've decided you want to move back home. That dream of moving back home with the taxes is almost impossible. And I'm not saying everything that I'm saying applies to every single person in the diaspora. No, I'm not suggesting that, because people are in different situations. Some of you may come from a family where that mentality of the chosen one does not even exist. You may come from a family where everyone is united. You know, all the brothers, all the sisters, they're united and they all have the same sort of mentality. You may also come from a family where the father, the mother doesn't have this idea of you make money, I'm going to relax as soon as you go to university so that you can send money to me because this is where you're supposed to be taking care of me. So it just depends. This video is just a general video. Okay. So back to the topic. So if you are required to take on this financial burden for every single person, you'll find that retiring, making plans for your children, making your own plans for retirement, it's going to be very, very difficult. And this is why I decided, I need to make this video, because a lot of people that are in this circumstance where they have a lot of black tax collectors may feel so helpless. And this is derived from this mentality and this idea that there's a chosen one. And it is very, very difficult to get out of. Do you know how it feels where you want to be part of a family, but you're automatically kicked out because you did not comply to the black tax collectors? That means your children now may not get the same treatment from that family or from the family in general. You see how it gets complicated? You may say, you know what, I don't care about anybody else, I'm just going to do my thing. But if you decide to do that, you're cutting yourself out. So the black tax collectors have emotional buttons they use to press to make you comply with paying those taxes. And if you're someone that is weak, you are going to be in very serious trouble, because you have no option but to give in. And it is sad because the black tax collectors are heartless. And I'll tell you this, they are very, very heartless. They're the same people that will say, what are you doing in England? What are you doing in America? You haven't done anything here. You don't even have a house. You don't even have a stand. You don't even have this. Same people, right? And when you get a breakthrough in life and you decide you want to purchase a house now or a stand, that to them is a signal that you have the money. So now the demands are multiplied by a factor of 5 or a factor of 3. Now the demands intensify. I remember when I bought the house, where people were asking for 200, they were asking for way more than that. House extensions. Can you do all these grand things because the house had been purchased? And the saddest part of this is, if you decide to comply with the black tax collectors and you start paying your black tax, what happens then is, after 10 years, 15 years of paying all these taxes, tomorrow, those people will actually ask you questions like, what were you doing in England? And they've forgotten that you've been paying their school fees, you've been doing this, they'll forget all of that. Because our culture is a culture of, what do you have? And what you have is what determines where you are in terms of your status. So you'll find that people will buy a car because it adds your marks on the status ladder. You buy a house, it adds your marks on the status ladder. You have a business, it adds marks to the status ladder. Because these are the things that people see that make you, that they decide who you are in society. So sometimes you may find that you've been paying all these taxes, but as a result, You cannot do all those things that rank you in status. And behind the scenes, this is where you hear people saying, he was in England for 20 years or 30 years. They have nothing. But they're forgetting that you've been sending money to help them out. And sometimes you won't even get a thank you. Why? Because it is expected of you and you're the chosen one. So it is a very, very difficult and tough one. So when it comes to a decision that you make and say, I do not want to comply to the taxes, what happens now is, remember I mentioned that the black tax collectors have emotional buttons they press. They will say, you know what? I sent you to a very good school and I've spent so much money. I had to do with nothing for you to be where you are. So this is your turn now to help. Now, my question is, where does the help end? In my opinion, if you have parents that obviously have done what they needed to do for you to get a good education or given you opportunities and so on, there's a limit to the threshold of the tax. And in my opinion, it should be limited to making their life comfortable. For example, you're making sure they have a roof over their head, food, clothing, and a few things here and there if they want to travel or just to make their life comfortable while they're in retirement. That to me is the bare minimum. Of course, if you have enough to perhaps buy them cars, buy them houses, and so on, pretty much it's up to you. But for the most part, you'll find that majority of people, and yes, majority, are not able to build a house for themselves and build a house for their parents. Generally speaking, majority can't do that. In fact, people are struggling to build their own house, their own retirement house, because it is very expensive. In Zimbabwe right now, to try and buy a piece of land in Harare, even 300 square meters, it's so expensive. Later on, trying to do that for your parents who are living in the rural areas, it's almost impossible. Building a little tiny house, you'll find that a house, maybe even in Aspindale, is going to cost you 100,000 or between 80 and 100,000 cash. How many people have that type of money without going to borrow money just to have the house for themselves? And this is 300 square meters, 200 square meters, a house which doesn't even have a decent garden. This is a house where it's just on enough land to put your bed and some sofas for you to just sleep on. No garden. You can't even say, you know what, I'm going to sit in the garden. What garden on a 200 square meter house? But that in itself is going to cost you 100,000. Who in their right mind, or who on average is able to afford that? You'll find that it's very, 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 very few people that can buy that house or buy a bigger one and also buy one for their family, or buy one for their parents. So that line has to be drawn on where do you draw the line in terms of how much you can help. Now, sometimes you'll find that it comes across like a generational curse because this cycle continues and continues and continues. And this time I want to talk about myself personally. And I often say this to my children. And it's not because I'm wealthy or I have a lot of money or anything. No, it's just the mentality sort of thing. I've said to my children that I've given you a lot of opportunities in life, a head start in life in terms of exposure, in terms of the education. So in return, I don't need anything from them. This is a stepping stone for themselves. So in terms of retirement, I don't expect anything from my children, and that's the starting point. I don't expect anything. If they do come and my children all sit down together and say, you know what, let's do this for dad and mom, that's a bonus. But this is not something that I'm using as a retirement plan. I want my children to do well and not feel under pressure when they start off their own life, because I know how expensive it is for a child to think of getting married and then finding a place to live, building their own house, sending their children to school. The economy now has changed globally. Now we have AI, the jobs are not the same. And sometimes going to university is actually a waste of time because majority of people that graduate are competing against very few jobs. If 5,000 graduates graduate every single year, it doesn't translate into 5,000 jobs, 5,000 companies being created for them to provide all these jobs every single year that graduates are graduating. So you'll find that the ratio of graduates versus the jobs that are available is actually, quite quite a massive gap. So that's just me personally, how I look at it. I don't expect my children to do anything for me. Absolutely no expectations, because my mentality is I need to build my own baseline, my own retirement plan, and I had to work very hard for me to be in this position. So therefore, I don't want to put any pressure on my children to take care of me. Of course, if something happens, I get a stroke or something, and they feel like every month they need to pay for my medicals, whatever it is, yeah, fair enough. But generally speaking, I am good where I am. So there are people who have tried to set up things for their families back home so that they lower the black tax. For example, one may say, you know what? Let me start a project for you guys to do. Instead of me sending money every single month, how about I start a project for you? Whether it's a fishing project, a farming project, whatever it is. Oftentimes that doesn't work because the black tax collectors and their agents, they want money. They want the end result. They don't want to work. Okay? They just want the end result. You work and then give them the money. If you tell them, okay, here's a piece of land, can you build something here, grow your own vegetables and sell, or build a chicken run and sell your chickens, they don't want to hear that. They want the money. And if you don't give them that money, I'm telling you, it's going to be met with a lot of resistance, resentment, and even accusations of you using witchcraft, just so that they hurt your feelings, just so that they give you that low blow that makes you feel like, oh my goodness, what have I got myself into? And these are the emotional tactics they use. So in order for you to get past this, you have to be resilient. You have to have a very, very strong mindset, and you have to be able to stand your ground. And in certain cases, you have to have this attitude of, whatever happens, happens. Okay. Um, if you're going to be against me because I stand my ground, so be it. So it is a mindset, and this mindset, especially if you are a couple, it has to be a decision that you make, and it has to be a united front. Because if you're the only one, again, that partner of yours is going to be an agent of the black tax collectors, and now you're in double trouble, which is ridiculous. So oftentimes I've seen people that try and help, their relatives. Perhaps you want to do business with them to minimize the black tax, or even increase more opportunities for you to make money. That same person, it may be a sister, it may be a cousin, it may be a brother. They will they will mess up that opportunity and still blame you. I know it sounds ridiculous. They will mess up that opportunity and still blame you. So you're forever going to be the bad person. They'll find a story that sticks and they use it against you over and over again. So, in that regard, this is where you have to make up your mind and say, do I really want to work with relatives, or this is a no-go area? As for me personally, I don't do business with relatives. Yes, I may say, okay, can you do this job for me, but that job is not free. I make sure I pay. But my rule of thumb is never ever work with relatives, even if it's your own mother, because there's a lot of emotions attached to that. And those emotions are very, very dangerous because people don't see facts. They focus on what? On emotions. And this is going to be very difficult for you to resolve when you start having real problems in the business. And also, one thing I also realized is in pursuit of trying to help, people back home, oftentimes we throw money on projects and so on. But these relatives have no experience. Some of them have never run a business before. And running a business it does not mean that just having the capital is enough for you to run a successful business. No, it's the mindset of people. Sometimes people can only handle $1,000. That's their limit. You give them $1,000, they will go crazy. They because their mindset has not been activated because that amount of money is not there yet. Some people can only handle 500. I mean, I'm sure some of you have seen situations where someone may ask you for, let's say, $50. To you, $50 is not a lot. You just send $50. That's it. But if you take that extra step and say, you know what, they're looking for $50, they're struggling, let me give them 500. That 500 will drive them so crazy that it will bring even more problems into the family because they're only able to handle 50. Now you're giving them 500. So the same applies. Some people are used to handling, let's say, 1,000. You give them 20,000 cash, they'll go crazy. They'll go crazy. So people have what? Have certain limits of how much money they can handle because money itself, it just multiplies what sort of person you are. If you're someone that spends a lot of money and you're spending at a level of 1,000 a month, if you're given, or if you start making 10,000, you're also going to spend 10,000. It's just multiplied. So you are going to try and make sense out of this whole situation and say, but why would you do this? Why would you do that? Why? You will never get to the bottom of it because not everyone is has the mindset of business. Not everyone has the mindset of making money. And if they do make the money, some people have this thing of people need to see me now that I'm this person in life. People need to see me now that I'm that person. And that in itself, you'll find that if you're in a business partnership, your goals and your vision of where you want to go and the vision of the people that you're trying to help, it doesn't work. So it leaves you in a position where you are now stuck. What do you do with this black tax situation? What do you do? It's a double-edged sword. If you pay the taxes, you're also taken away from your future. If you stop paying, you're cut off from the family, and now you have to deal with the rumors and all the verbal abuse that come with it. So what do you do? That's the question that you need to. That's the question that is very, very difficult to answer because it seems like there's no way out. So, in my opinion, this is where you need to apply a balance. And by the way, I want to give you a quick exercise. If you search for Zimbabwean economy, you'll find out that the remittances are probably more than some of or some of the things that contribute to our economy. The remittances are actually very, very high. I can't remember exactly how much, but it is part of the economy. And I think I came across a stat that says Zimbabweans tops the highest of remittances in Africa just recently. I know Nigeria is massive, but I think these stats are per, according to the population. So that just shows you that a lot of money is being sent home. But even though a lot of money of these monies are sent home, they're not sent for things that are, oh, just spending. No, these monies are paying school fees. The monies are paying hospital bills. The monies are paying for food, and pretty much all these things. And if you see on this channel, I'm one of those people that's really pushing for business. in Zimbabwe. Why? Why? Even if it's a retirement plan, why am I pushing for that retirement plan in Zimbabwe? It's because billions are going into Zimbabwe. Billions, not a billion, billions are going into Zimbabwe. And this black tax situation is not going to stop. People are going to be sending money back home. Generations after generations after generations, people aren't going to stop because they watch this video, you know. So what I'm saying is, and I tell this to my children every single time, people are always going to send money back home. So in order for you to tap into that, you just need a fraction of the billions that are going into Zimbabwe, and that fraction provide a service or a product to sell, a product or a service, and tap into that 1 billion. You don't even need to be in the business. I mean, you don't even need to be in the government. Don't even target people in the government. Just target a fraction of that billion that's going into Zimbabwe every single year. And I'm telling you, you'll be good. Money in Zimbabwe is not the problem. The problem is a lack of creativity to come up with something that we can sell or a service. And the challenge is the know-how, because just like me, if you have been on my channel, you can see I'm struggling trying to set things up because there's a lot of people that are untrustworthy. The companies sometimes are untrustworthy. They let you down. The workers let you down. So we're still working on finding that, that break point. That breakthrough. We want that breakthrough to say, you know what, I'm comfortable now. I can now do business. That's the part which can be very, very difficult to get through. But is the idea correct? Yes, the idea is absolutely amazing. So this video covered quite a lot of things. This is something that is not going to, that is going to affect every single one of us, but it's how we deal with it. So my approach in this as a solution is, with this black tax situation, you got to be balanced. You got to be balanced. Explain yourself as much as you can, and see how you can work with it. As for me, I pay my taxes when I want, but I cannot be forced or manipulated into paying things that I know is not a full responsibility for me. So that's just me. But of course, what I'm saying may not apply to you. I'm very strong on that. I pay what I can. I'm not going to lose sleep over such and such a child did not do this, therefore I'm supposed to do that. Emergencies, yes, I understand. If someone there's an emergency, I can help out, no problem. But to make it a habit that every single month I'm supposed to do A, B, C, D, E, no. Because right now I'm in a position where I know I'm on my own. I'm on my own. Right now, if I don't fix myself, I cannot go to someone and say, hey, can you lend me $1,000 or $5,000 and I'll get it easily. So I have to make sure that my finances are intact, and the people that I'm helping, I'm not going to create resentment and I'm expecting much from it. No, I'll just do it because I have to do it. So I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about this black tax situation? Are you a black tax collector? And if you are, what are your points? I'd like to hear your views. And if you pay black tax, how has this been affecting you? And has it stopped you from progressing in certain areas in life? Has it affected your relationship with your family, your spouse, and so on? Let me know in the comments box below. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.